Bit of a different video today, but still about the First Descendant nonetheless. This is of course a game that I've been thoroughly enjoying. I not only enjoy making content for it, but actually playing it has been a lot of fun. It hits all the right sort of like levers and buttons and stuff for me when it comes to this sort of game, looter shooters. That being said, and as the thumbnail suggests, I think that there are things that the developer can do to improve the experience, at the very least for me, and those are the things that I'd like to discuss in this video. I think it's also possible that some of these things might actually be addressed not by me saying it in this video, but because the developer seems to be really reactive and fast to the things that the player base essentially are asking for, or that they want, within reason. And it's not to say that the same thing can't be true for this. So for what it's worth, feel free to share this video if you think some of the things that we're going to be talking about is good. But as I said, these are just some things which I think that need to be changed in the game or augmented in a certain way to basically improve the experience. Not complaints per se, but more like suggestions, as I said. So I mean, first and foremost, let's get like the most egregious one, I guess, out of the way, and that is really the paint system in the game. Now, this is a free-to-play game, so of course the studio it's fair game for them to monetize it however they want to, and they will certainly do that. But something that is unique to games like this, and you always see it in looter shooters, is the fashion aspect of it. It cannot be denied that it is something that players take super serious, and the ability to essentially, since you are playing stock characters, the ability to make your character, your own is a big thing, and a lot of the time that's through the purchase or the unlocking of cosmetics, but then also this game allows you to paint those cosmetics. Now, this paint is one use only and costs real money, obviously, and it's not something that you can buy with an in-game currency or anything like that. It's actually you having to spend, I mean, you do get a little bit of these credits in the battle pass, but you'd still have to spend money on the battle pass. But the bottom line is this paint costs money and it's one use only. So if you decide to fully color your character a certain way, and then a couple of weeks later you're like, fuck this, I'm tired of looking at black and gray, I want to go fucking red and orange or something like that, then you're gonna have to spend that money to pay for it again. And I understand that this is I would say probably a very smart way of making money off the player base, but I think over time this either needs to be augmented in a way that you can unlock these paints through playing by spending an in-game currency or doing a certain activity or something like that and having it be a random drop, or they need to make it that once you've bought a paint, then it is essentially unlocked for you, in perpetuity. I understand that this sort of locks them out of like a further revenue stream down the line with people keeping rebuying paints, but the point is they're going to be releasing cosmetics, and the people will most likely be more inclined to buy those cosmetics, different jackets, pants, face, fucking all that shit, if they have the entire stock of paints that they can mess around with and essentially do this. So I think that this is the system within the store which irritates me the most. The rest of the stuff I don't have a problem with. If you want to spend money on it, do it. If you don't want to spend money on it, don't. It doesn't matter to me. But the paint situation is something that I think can really be just augmented and changed a little bit, and I don't even think it's going to hurt them that much in terms of like sales, because let's be honest, the real stuff that here is the convenience items, it's the early character unlocks and that sort of thing. So this is something that I really do hope that they take to heart and actually do something about. And then, I mean, let's just segue right into basically the drop system, which is something else that I see a lot of people complaining about. This is not necessarily about the drop percentages. I don't have an issue with something that's super rare or something like that having a 6% drop rate or a 3% drop rate. I think it's something to be said for farming something for a while and then finally getting it to drop, and the fun factor of that is huge. That sort of like drop relief that you get is massive, and I like the endorphin rush of that shit. So like I'm all for that. Like, let's fucking do that. But I think what the game does need, though, is it needs some form of like bad luck protection. I think that's going to go a long way towards maybe, and I don't use this term in a disparaging way, but the casuals, the people who have a little bit less time to play, and so therefore feel it much sooner if their time in their own mind is being disrespected. And I think bad luck protection, what I mean by that, by the way, is like, for instance, a activity or something like that that has a specific reward, and you are continuously doing this, you're running this hoping for that reward to happen. So let's say, for example, there's like a 6% chance of something dropping. So perhaps at certain intervals, this can basically be, increase or, augmented in the back by the game system. So I'm not saying this is something that's directly visible to you, but it can be a case of like, let's say every 10 times, and I'm just making these numbers up, by the way, and it's probably not as cool as it could be, but let's just say that you're doing something 10 times, then the 11th time, there's like a 1% more chance of it happening. And then the 20th time, there's like a 2%. I know these are super low, but I mean, eventually it means that over time, you can be like, okay, well, fuck it, I'm gonna do this like 50 times, and it's gonna start out at 6%, but when I'm done with my 50 times and I still haven't gotten the thing that I'm looking for from here, at least from then on, I know that there's a 10 or a 12% chance of it dropping, and it means that eventually you can grind yourself up to it. I think that's also something that really rewards the grind mindset and all of that stuff, and just kind of like gives you that hope that, you know what, it's okay. And I think this really matters though, because the big joke, of course, in the community is that there are items in the game that is like a 20 or a 30% chance to drop, and that shit seems to never fucking drop. And that's like a 1 in 5 or 1 in 4, basically a 1 in 3 chance of dropping, and it doesn't happen, versus some of the things like 6%ers and 3%ers, which seems to like drop all the time. So it's kind of odd, and that's RNG for you. It is what it is. But I think bad luck protection would be pretty fucking sweet. Speaking about that, and directly feeding into my third thing, would be a way for us to essentially basically deal with duplicate items of these things that we've gotten from drops. I have a huge amount of ultimate materials which I can't use because I've either already unlocked the character, or I have like 5 or 6 of them and I'll only ever use one. Now there is trading coming to the game. There's no ETA on it, but it is something that was mentioned by the developer that is coming to the game, and of course that will alleviate this. Unfortunately, I think with trading, it's also going to bring in a whole fucking slew of like items for sale on fucking third-party sites, which is also kind of like not fucking great, but that's, a story for another day. The point is, trading isn't in the game right now and might not be here for a while. So we are going to build up a huge surplus of these things, and since we can't use duplicate, the Descendant items to power those Descendants up, I mean, if they had a system like that you could essentially, reassemble a Descendant that you already have, and that will then increase their stats like by 1% or 2% or something like that, that would be fucking cool too, but there's no such thing in the game. So we need something that we can do with these duplicates. So either being able to sell them for Kuiper or fucking gold is probably the easiest, all right? Which is a resource that you need a lot of, so obviously another avenue that you can get that from would be phenomenal. Or, like I said, a way that you can essentially trade this in at like a 3-to-1 value on one of the other ones that you need. Like, let's say, for example, you are trying to make Ultimate Lepic, and you have like multiples of all of the ones, but the only one that you're missing is the blueprint. Then being able to trade in 4 of the other ones for 1 blueprint, or 8 of the other ones for 1 blueprint would be, pretty damn sweet. So just something that we could do with these duplicates. If you've been playing the game since the beginning, you don't even have to be a fucking no-lifer like me. You will have duplicates of things that you can't do anything with at this moment in time. And yes, trading will take care of that, but we don't know when trading's coming, and it might not even come this year. So yeah. Think about how many duplicates you're gonna have come fucking December. All right. And then last but not least, and these are just the 4 ones over the top of my head that I've been thinking about and also discussing on my streams, is that when it also comes to, and I just mentioned no lifing, the point is I've built multiple characters to, let's say, fruition, to their final, version of the character. Meaning I've spent a lot of catalysts on them, and I've basically almost done all the cells on their catalyst on the mod box, or whatever you want to call it. I've basically modded each block, and I'm using a lot of catalysts to do that. And every time when you do that, you reset your character level and you have to re-level. I don't think anybody doesn't understand that concept. That's obviously how it works. The thing is, having done this on 4 characters and about to start my 5th, I think that also in terms of just trying to incentivize players to do this, because I know some friends of mine who've done one character and they're like, dude, I'm not gonna fucking do that again. Like, I really like the game, but I've like really powered up my one dude and I'm just gonna just mess around with the other dudes and not really do builds with them and stuff because it's just too much effort. I think what they need to do is they need to make it so that every catalyst that you unlock in a character, that when you assign a specific you know, type to it, which is what you do with catalyst to decrease the cost, every time you slot one of these in, it gives you a certain amount of plus XP for leveling up that character. So for example, if your character has 2 catalysts, it levels up 10% faster. 3 catalysts, 15% faster. You get the idea. I think this would also basically incentivize players to do multiple characters, because there's this fact that, you know, once you have 4, 5, 6 catalysts in, then shit's going a lot quicker. Instead of, you know, taking like I mean, yes, you could sit and do one activity over and over again for like an hour, and that will give you 1 to 40, but that's also only on specific characters, or you need people to help you out. I mean, for instance, like if you're doing like the bunny cave or something like that. The point is that for a lot of players, they manually grind these characters out, and that takes multiple hours. So something that you can do to sort of like just speed that up will help the, once again, not using this word in a disparaging way, but help the casuals of people with a little bit less time, and also just make them feel that they're making meaningful strides and steps, and basically just ease that grind out a little bit. But that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far. This is just some ideas that I've been thinking about, and of course I'm sure there's a whole bunch more out there, and that's where you come in. Obviously, in the comments, I'd love to hear from you guys. What would you like in the game to be changed, to be improved, to be taken away, to be added, anything like that? Let me know. I'd love to compile all the information and basically make a follow-up video and credit guys who have really good ideas, and we can sort of like hive mind this. I think it'll be a fun little project. But yeah, let me know in the video, in the comments. And of course, feel free to share this with other people and also get them to offer their input. I'd really appreciate it. Other than that, it's just super important to me that you have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Till next video, fucking cheers.